All right, kids, we're going to do this together. All right? Let's do this together. Let's see what we can do here. All right. Let's look up or Hitler first gets elected. Right? Okay, Hitler becomes president of Germany. When did Hitler become president of Germany? Let's see. All right. We're looking this up. Okay, seizure of control. Okay, so there was some protest going on, and Hitler took over. When Hitler's citizenship became a matter of public discussion in 1924, he had a public declaration printed on 16 October 1924. I wasn't expecting this. Is this true? No, we got to go to the primary source. Hamann. Brigitte Hamann, Hitler's Vienna, a portrait of the tyrant as a young man. This is presumably from Brigitte Hamann's book. What a great name. Hey, have you ever been to that center at Rice University? The Hamann Center? It's spelled the same way, right? Let's see about this. Let's see. We're going to try to cross-reference, because they like to do this. Let's just see what we got here. Anybody else want to say something? No. We've got him becoming a propagandist 5 years earlier. So it sounds like somebody's trying to do some stuff online to work a conversion, huh? He went from being a propagandist, I don't know, maybe like a journalist or a pamphleteer, maybe somebody in PR, right? And then all of a sudden he's confirming his citizenship in another country. I see. Okay. Yeah, this isn't really going very well. But apparently somebody really wants to, try to, get the point across. All right. Mein Kampf, Ford translation. Let's see if they actually got any. It's actually, there's a PDF of Mein Kampf online in English. Isn't that crazy? Well, let's see what we got here. This is the point. How old was he? How old was Hitler when when did Hitler end up coming to power? Because the chances are there were lots of people that were young, right? Young people, maybe early teens, maybe younger. Huh? Maybe younger. Like, I don't know, 10, 4th, 5th grade. And you don't have a whole lot of an understanding. Maybe you've seen some protest. Maybe you've heard your parents talking about their organizing as part of the party. Maybe they listened to a radio broadcast where that woman Rosa was talking about the general strike. And some people were trying to debate whether or not there was going to be a general strike, or whether or not they were going to go ahead and throw down and commit to a war effort. And then all of a sudden, the National Socialist Party comes to power. There's some sort of new political paradigm. And very quickly, people start disappearing. Social events get cut off. Guys in uniform, very significant uniform, imbued with a lot of ornamentation, a lot of ceremonialism, a way of presentation, a way of standing, a kind of cleanness. Maybe you're not used to that. Starch. There's a difference. It's like when you're growing up, maybe you watch, it's an important event, so your dad or your mom gets out the ironing board and they spray on the starch and they iron it. You can smell the starch. You know it's something important, and you know the shirt looks different from before it had the starch versus after. And if you're young and precocious enough and you're out on the street, you see someone, you're like, they got starch. They must be going somewhere important. These are the details. These are the things that when you're young and nobody's being honest with you about what's happening, leave an imprint on your mind. They become nostalgic later on when you're in a different situation. How many years was the National Socialist Party in charge? How many years of ornamentation and pageants, of other kinds of education, of radio broadcast, of ornate displays around town, maybe protest, maybe some of which you got involved, maybe some of which you decried because they were unpatriotic. How long did you have to listen to somebody talk about a racialized agenda? And understanding that the people who had access to the resources before fit a specific racial profile that oppressed your people. And as a result, you were justified to implement any means necessary in order to re-establish your patriotism, your sense of belonging, your understanding of what was important. Heroes emerge that look like you. At least they look more like you, maybe, than they did before. People more and more in positions of power are supposed to look like you, not look like those other people you used to see talking to your parents, or maybe at the meetings you used to attend together. Somehow these people, they just disappear. And if someone that looks like them shows up again, are they in a uniform? Does it have starch? Do they have a title? Do they speak German? Or are you supposed to be enchanted by another language they pretend you don't know? How old is too young to know better? How many years does it take to erase the collective memory of a time before the whitewashing? What happens if one of those old, curly haired, maybe a little darker skinned friends of your parents shows up in the middle of the night and asks to be let in? Do you remember? Do you remember who they are? Are you suspicious of them? Do you think they deserve to be kicked back out on the street? If you see them dragged behind somebody's cart or beaten nearly to death a few days later when you're walking wherever you're walking, do you consider it to be justified? What ends up happening a couple of years later? What happens later when other uniforms come in and they take those people in those starched shirts and jackets and they tie them to the back of the car and they drive through the middle of the streets of the town with their bodies dragging behind them as another form of nostalgia? Are you prepared to take the memories you're creating to the fullest realization of what they've earned? You want to talk about who's owed what? Where do you think we are in this recapitulation?